Thanks everyone, Steve Loader here, Director of Golf at the Richmond Golf Club. It's Friday night around 6:30. Our Mixed LUV League kicks off tomorrow morning, first thing 7 o'clock, first hit off. It's been 3.5 years since we've had what was originally Premier League. Obviously COVID and a few other things have hit the organisation, but after some great work from some of our members who are really into engaging and getting the social side of our club firing again, Steve Jones and Mark Scholes came to me and said we want to get this up off the ground and what can we do to help. A bit like over in our Ladies on a Wednesday, I've had a group there as well over the last couple of years. Have also kicked in, and we're obviously going it alone now with the LUV League, no longer Premier League as such. So you know, bear with us as we try and work through the things from a technological point of view. That was all paid for and done and uploaded to a site once before. We'll be doing all that ourselves, putting it up to the Facebook group and recording scores. So that'll actually be a lot of fun. I thought maybe good to just quickly introduce the teams for this week. There's some new teams, there's some new players, there's some new faces, and you might look out for them around the club and start to engage in each other a little bit more and enjoy the fun that is, I keep saying Premier League, LUV Golf League. So big thank you to Melinda Jones, Steve Jones's wife. You can see the pictures here, look awesome, so great job. I'll start. First match, Turtles versus Hump Day. We have Joel Watson, David Long, Neil Hall, Potsy Webber, Alan Guy, Darren Coolbars, Horace or Gary Edwards, Johnny Sparks, and the Hump Day boys, Greasy Wallace, Darren Toll, Andy Marr, Ian Phillips, Neil Orchard, Brendan Kneebone, Guy Gowan and Barry O'Brien. So pretty consistent, the Turtles. They playing a lot of golf now. A lot of those guys are retired against the Hump Day boys, who their Hump Day name comes from having a hit Wednesday night after work. All about golf. Those boys just down the line. You know, no consumption of alcohol on the course. They're just out there focusing on their game, really honing their skills, as you can imagine, by reading those names. But I'm going to go on a limb and I'll go with those boys on the back of that sort of preparation. Our second match is the Bugs versus the M-Hacks, we'll go with, M-Hacks Daddies, which is, I might not pronounce that right, but Hacks kind of fits in with the golf theme, so we'll go with that. Our Bugs team, Jeff and Kate Burke, Wayne Eden, Pam Haywood, Keith Jenkinson, Robin Quinn, Kevin Lister and Lenny Drill. And the M-Hacks Daddies, Chad Jones, Kieran Dullard, Dean Nolka, Wade Pitson, Simon Reed, Hunter Reed, Marcus Keogh and Luke Keogh. So a few changes in that side, and I'm going to tip those boys. What's the easiest way to move yourself up the ladder is get some players with a bit of ability, and that's no disrespect to the ones that have gone before in that team, but Hunter Reed, he'd be the hottest form golfer in the club, so on the back of his form, and Dean Nolka with his recent hole-in-one, I can't go past those boys. The Kelly Golf Gang versus the Dimple Balls, so we've got the old champions against the new kids on the block. So the Kelly Golf Gang, James Brown, Chris Jenkins, Brad Murray, Phil Hubbard, Fletcher Kelly, Mitch Langenbacher, Lachlan Arkenstall and Troy Kenny, up against Stu Manser, Rob Kilgour, Andrew Jacobs, Murray Roberts, Gary Bennett, Steve McComb, Stu Milgate and Aaron Loader. Can you believe, back in the Dimple Balls jumper, after a bit of a hiatus over, tried to follow his father, who convinced him Premiership glory was in the Pro Shop team, but anyway, he's finally realised where his father was really leading him, and it was just to the bottom of the ladder pretty much. And all the while watching the Dimple Balls get themselves a Premiership. So I'm going to go with an upset here and go with the Kelly Golf Gang. I think there's some pretty dedicated golfers over on that side of the fence with a bit of a point to prove. I think the Dimple Balls might be a bit slow out of the blocks based on no real reason other than to see what my son will say when he sees I've tipped against him. So our next match is Reluctant Heroes versus the 8 Jokers. And Reluctant Heroes probably don't even have to name names here. They're, you know, multiple premiership players in this team: Steve Jones, Mark Scholes, Jade Bennett, Dale Phillips, Chris Boxtel, Johnny Tomlinson, Kirk Ardley and Troy Smith. So they've done some off-season work, bit of recruiting. Dave Foskett no longer to be seen. Troy Smith, if anyone knows Troy, local boy, had his first opportunity to play weekend golf for about 20 years, so he'll be raring to stamp his mark on this team and show that he's a worthy inclusion. And the 8 jokers: Glenn Rogers, Ben Knight, Matt Beasley, Paul Arthurson, Sean Slattery, Mark White, Pete Whitbourne and Greg Cadd. Now, that team's responsible for some of the best individual rounds across the first part of the golfing calendar, so to speak. So if they get it together, they will take Reluctant Heroes to the sword. But I'm probably just going to go out on a limb, not very much actually, and stick with the tried and true Reluctant Heroes for the minute. But I won't be surprised to see that team do some damage as the season progresses. Our last match, mixed bag versus the could have been champions, and the mixed bag represented by Steve Morgan, Keith McCormack, Trevor Moody, Brian Suffolk, Robbie George, Kane Anderson, Michael Bajura and Steve Tonkin. And could have been champions: Kevin Saylard, Steve Lindbergh, Heath Redwood, Peter McKechnie, George O'Sullivan, Craig Griffin, Connor Griffin and Simon Locke. Hard to pick this one, and I've got a very basic theory on this one. Mixed bag without their spiritual leader Steve Morgan, who I think is still overseas from what I've seen on social media. Can't believe I'm tipping a team that includes Kevin Saylard, who as the season goes on he will probably reveal how I contributed to making his experience in this team so wonderful and how valuable an inclusion he is. Kevin and I will share that with you later on. But again, some guys in there who have been in some okay form too, so and some consistent players in that team as well. So yeah, I just think, okay, a bit of a new side, but I think they're going to be without more hooks. I think they'll be too strong. So apologies to anyone I've tipped against, or probably even more of an apology to the ones who I've tipped, because that's the old kiss of death generally. So yeah, hopefully next week I'll have one of the boys in here. We'll have a bit more of a talk. Obviously there'll be some actually numbers on the board, and we'll have some results that we might be able to evaluate in a little bit more detail. And please, any feedback, Mark Scholes, Steve Jones, look for them around the club. Obviously come and talk to myself if you want to get involved in any way and help out. There is quite a bit of admin to be done behind the scenes, so again, I thank those guys for putting their hand up, taking the time out to actually get in and do something for the club. So it's greatly appreciated on my behalf and everyone at the club. And let's have a fun year. Don't forget to get your cameras out. There's generally something funny happens every week. Flick me a photo, flick me a text. I'm sure it'll come in very handy come grand final night. So look forward to seeing everyone around the club tomorrow. Thanks everyone.